Republicans all over the country, including last night in Kentucky, are voting to roll back child labor laws, calling it a thoughtful solution to get more workers back in the workforce. At the same time, they're blocking immigration reform that could give adult migrants the opportunity to fill those vacant jobs, many of them in dangerous industries. We're back with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat from the great state, our state of New York. It's great to see you. Thank you for staying extra long on Friday night. I wonder what you think the sort of ethical, moral calculation here is to say, shut the borders down, as these Republicans fully and well know they need a workforce, probably of migrants, to work in these really degrading, dehumanizing, dangerous jobs in places like slaughterhouses, and would rather have children that are already in the country work them.
I mean, there is no ethical or moral calculation here that I think Republicans are working with. Putting the first and foremost, the amount of protections that they heap on to these places that are so dangerous, themselves operating so unethically, and making them so dangerous for any human, adult or child, to be operating in. But the idea that Republicans, in order to win an election, say we need to hermetically seal the border when they know that that is economic self-sabotage to the U.S. economy. And they are saying, let's do it anyway. And to compensate for the negative effects, we're going to allow and throw people's kids into factories. That is what they are doing in rolling back child labor laws while being as xenophobic and anti-immigrant as they are, and while ginning up this false narrative about this being a crisis. And by the way, by then also preventing and blocking any legislation that would provide not just a path to citizenship, but a path to work papers, a path to allowing people who want to work to be paired with American businesses who need people to work. And I mean, there is not only no moral calculation, there is no economic calculation, there is no logical calculation, there is only a political calculation. And that political calculation is we are going to keep whining about it. Mm-hmm. We are going to keep pretending this is a crisis while contributing to actual problems. And then we're going to block the solution so that we can campaign on it over and over and over. And we can call it caravans, we can call it migrant crises, we can call it family separation, and they will just recycle it over and over and over again in order to gin up, just so much animosity and destruction in this country and racism in this country, because that's the only thing that the Republican Party even is standing on at this point. You say it's a political calculation. I think that part is clear, but at the same time, it's like, if you told me that they're trying to weaken child labor laws on its face as a headline, that should not be politically expeditious. The reason they've managed to be able to do it is because nobody's talking about migrants anymore. Nobody's talking about the value of migrants, and that includes Democrats. Absolutely.
I mean, are you dismayed that this White House, it acknowledges or it believes that it has a political problem on the border, and it is playing decidedly on sort of the Republican turf here in terms of what it's suggested, what it's agreed to, the executive orders that have been sort of reported on thus far? Are you dismayed by that and the sort of contours of this conversation?
I am dismayed, and I'm very often find myself in shock at our current political situation. Not just, I'm rarely in shock at the depravity of the Republicans, but sometimes, and this is long what I've been saying, sometimes we as Democrats have to grow a little bit of a spine around here. And part of that means defending immigration as a core value of the United States of America. Yes, on a moral and on an identity basis, but on a nuts and bolts basis. The United States, our culture, our population, our economy needs immigration like lungs need oxygen. And when you cut it off, we will start to die. When you look at other developed economies that have adopted xenophobic or more closed border policies, they enter into decades of economic stagnation. You don't need to look far for that to happen. We do not have to be afraid to say immigration is one of the best things to happen to the United States of America. And what we need to do is champion policies to make it easier to be documented, to get a work permit. And a lot of folks think there's a line to get into this country. Maybe we should make one that works. Because without that, it's just, we see the inhumanity of a dysfunctional system. And so instead of buying into this Republican rhetoric, because what's happening is that we're pouring dollar after dollar, cycle after cycle, into an increasingly militarized border with no real solution here. And now one of the largest law enforcement agencies in the entire United States of America sits under the Department of Homeland Security. But how much better off are we today than we were 5 years ago, despite having passed billions and billions and billions more dollars going into this and buckling on this over and over again? We need a path to citizenship in the United States of America. We need to make it easier to have work permits in the United States of America. And we need to be unafraid to unapologetically defend immigration and make it easier to be an immigrant and to migrate to the United States of America, because God knows we need it.